to adjust for the reading thing you did last time, or when you were playing Sunless Sea?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're live, lover. Oh, we're not starting soon. We're here.
Let's turn down the music.
Yeah, let's turn down the music. Hopefully that'll be a more comfortable level. Don't want to drown ourselves out.
Sure, don't want to turn it down a little bit more.
Alright, we'll turn it down a little bit more.
Turn us a little bit up.
Sorry.
You didn't go up very far. Or when you were talking, it didn't go up on the thing very much.
Oh, well, I'll have to speak up then. Alright, we're back reading George Orwell, 1984. We're on chapter 8. I don't know if you read the description or whatever, but do you remember what happened last time?
Winston was reminiscing about a prostitute.
That was the time before.
Was he talking to Silo or whatever his name is?
Syme?
Yeah.
No. He was spending time remembering, well, one, he was talking about how to defeat the party. It's all the hope of the future is the proles. If they could only wake up.
Is it when he found the newspaper?
Yeah, and then he went on to say he found, undeniable proof that history had been altered or something like that.
He saw the cartographer or the caricaturer, the cartoonist at the bar.
Yeah. Or the cafe or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see, and it ended with the quote that I put on the thumbnail there. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 makes 4. If that is granted, all else follows. Well, I guess the one on the thumbnail isn't that. That's what it started off as.
Yeah.
But we changed it. Okay, here we go. Chapter 8. From somewhere at the bottom of a passage, the smell of roasting coffee, real coffee, not victory coffee, came floating out into the street. Winston paused involuntarily. For perhaps 2 seconds he was back in the half-forgotten world of his childhood. Then a door banged, seeming to cut out the smell as abruptly as though it had been a sound. He had walked several kilometers over pavements, and his varicose ulcer was throbbing. This was the second time in 3 weeks that he had missed an evening at the community center. A rash act, since you could be certain that the number of your attendances at the center was carefully checked. In principle, a party member had no spare time, and was never alone except in bed.
Even then.
Yeah, that's creepy.
There's always a telescreen on him, right?
Uh-huh. Things listening, watching. Neighbors watching too, listening. It was assumed that when he was not working, eating, or sleeping, he would be taking part in some kind of communal recreations. To do anything that suggested a taste for solitude, even to go for a walk by yourself, was always slightly dangerous. There was a word for it in Newspeak, own life, it was called, meaning individualism and eccentricity. This evening, as he came out of the ministry, the balminess of the April air had tempted him. The sky was a warmer blue than he had seen that year, and suddenly the long, noisy event at the center The boring, exhausting games, the lectures, the creaking camaraderie oiled by gin had seemed intolerable. On impulse, he had turned away from the bus stop and wandered off into the labyrinth of London, first south, then east, then north again, losing himself along unknown streets and hardly bothering in which direction he was going. If there is hope, he had written in the diary, it lies in the proles. The words kept coming back to him, statement of a mystical truth and a palpable absurdity. He was somewhere in the vague, brown-colored slums of the north and east of what had once been St. Pancras Station. He was walking up a cobbled street of little two-storied houses with battered doorways which gave straight on the pavement and were somehow curiously suggestive of rat holes. There were puddles of filthy water there, here and there amongst the cobbles, and out in the dark doorways, down narrow alleyways that branched off on either side, people swarmed in astonishing numbers. Girls in full bloom with crudely lipstick mouths, and youths who chased the girls, and swollen, waddling women who showed you what the girls could be like in 10 years' time. Old bent creatures shuffling along on sprayed feet, and ragged barefoot children who played in the puddles and then scattered at angry yells from their mothers. Perhaps a quarter of the windows in the street were broken and boarded up. Most of the people paid no attention to Winston. A few eyed him with a sort of guarded curiosity. Two monstrous women with brick-red forearms folded across their aprons were walking outside a doorway. Winston caught scraps of conversation as he approached. "Yes," I says to her. "That's all very well," I says. "But if you've been in my place, you'd done the same thing that I done. It's easy to criticize," I says. "But you ain't got the same problems as what I got." "Ah," said the other. "That's just it. That's just where it is." The strident voices stopped abruptly. The women studied him in hostile silence as he went past. But it was not hostility, exactly. Merely a kind of wariness, a momentary stiffening, as at the passing of some unfamiliar animal. The blue overalls of the party could not be a common sight in a street like this. Indeed, it was unwise to be seen in such places unless you had definite business there. The patrols might stop you if you happened to run into them. "May I see your papers, comrade? What are you doing here? What time did you leave work? Is this your usual way home?" And so on and so forth. Not that there was any rule against walking home by an unusual route, but it was enough to draw attention to you if the thought police heard about it. Suddenly, the whole street was in commotion. There were yells of warning from all sides. People were shooting into the doorways like rabbits. A young woman leapt out of a doorway a little ahead of Winston, grabbed up a tiny child playing in a puddle, whipped her apron around it, and leapt back in again, all in one movement. At the same instant, a man in a concierge-like black suit had emerged from a side alley, ran toward Winston, pointing excitedly to the sky. "Steamer!" he yelled. "Look out, governor! Bang overhead! Lay down quick!" Steamer was a nickname which, for some reason, the proles applied to rocket bombs. Winston promptly flung himself on his face. The proles were nearly always right when they gave you a warning of this kind. They seemed to possess some kind of instinct which told them several seconds in advance when a rocket was coming, although rockets supposedly traveled faster than sound. Winston clasped his forearms above his head. There was a roar that seemed to make the pavement heave. A shower of light objects pattered onto his back. When he stood up, he found he was covered with fragments of glass from the nearest window. He walked on. The bomb had demolished a group of houses 200 meters up the street. A black plume of smoke hung in the sky, and below it a cloud of plaster dust in which a crowd was already forming around the ruins. There was a little pile of plaster lying on the pavement ahead of him, and in the middle of it he could see a bright red streak. When he got up to it, he saw that it was a human hand severed at the wrist. Apart from the bloody stump, the hand was so completely whitened as to resemble a plaster cast. That's intense.
Doesn't he think it's fucking funny? Didn't he watch an arm fly up in the movies?
Yeah, I thought he questioned it. Did he laugh at it? I know a lot of other people did. That one guy, like someone, the tongue comes out and turns blue or whatever.
I remember him enjoying it.
I remember he said once that he it must have been funny because it was in the picture. Or something to that effect. But maybe I'm wrong.
We could go back and look. That was in the beginning. He was writing in his diary.
That's the new speak. Thought crime does not entail death. War is peace. Before that, maybe?
I think it's one of the first things in the book. After he gets home. Or maybe no.
Down with Big Brother. Down with Big Brother. Thought police would get him just the same. In the second minute of hate rose into a frenzy. People were leaping up and down.
Before that, I believe. It was the first story.
He sat back. Helplessness. Talking about doublethink. For some reason, he sat gazing stupidly at the paper.
He wrote it in frantically.
Let's see, because he dipped his hand in the ink, faltered for a second, and a tremor had gone into his bowels. He clumsily did it. So that was when the first time he wrote. It was sloppy. Right?
Yeah, he was thinking about all his thoughts. I don't know if that kind of sloppy. He was thinking about all his thoughts. And he couldn't come up with the things.
Something had happened today. It was nearly 1100 at the records department when Winston worked, dragging the chairs for the 2-minute hate. He was sitting in the middle row. This is where he met O'Brien and Julia.
That's the second time he wrote, I think.
The moment O'Brien glanced at his watch, in his teeth. As usual, the face in the 2 minutes hate was Goldstein. Goldstein wasn't the principal figure. This is what he was talking about. He could never see could never see the face of Goldstein without a painful mixture of emotions. It was a lean Jewish face. Newspeak. Before the hate proceeded for 30 seconds, uncontrollable exclamations of rage were breaking out all around him. Talking about Oceanasia.
Didn't he write that entry before he went to the 2 minutes hate?
Black mustachioed face. Talk about posters behind the back. Behind
That
what's
was
his
the
back
very
was a
beginning.
telescreen.
He hasn't gotten home yet.
You can see the ministry. Winston stood at it was just possible to read. Picked out in the white face of the elegant lettering. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. The ministry of love is frightening. Turn around abruptly. Drank some victory gin. For some reason, the telescreen in the living room was at an unusual position. He was learning about the corners.
Mm-hmm. He wrote down the date.
He wrote down the date. He sat back. A sense of complete helplessness descended upon him.
Because he couldn't write the thing.
April 4th, 1984. Last night to the flicks.
Mm.
This is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last night to the flicks. All war films. One very good one of a ship full of refugees being bombed somewhere in the Mediterranean.
He called it very good. But
audience much amused by shots of a great, huge, fat man trying to swim away with a helicopter after him.
1 second. Okay. So the audience found it amusing.
Yeah. First you saw him wallowing along in the water like a porpoise. Then you saw him through the helicopter's gun sights. Then he was full of holes, and the sea around him turned pink as he sank suddenly as though the holes had let in the water. Audience shouting with laughter when he sank. Then you saw a lifeboat full of children with a helicopter hovering over it. Then there was a middle-aged woman, might have been a Jewess, sitting up at the bow with a little boy of about 3-year-old in his arms. Little boy screaming with fright and hiding his head between her breasts as if he was trying to burrow right into her. And that woman putting her arms around him and comforting him, although she was blue and frightened herself. All the time covering him up as much as possible if she thought her arms could keep the bullets off him. Then the helicopter planted a 20-kilo bomb in among them with a terrific flash, and the boat was all matchwood.
As terrific isn't a good thing. Like, amazing doesn't have to be a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just large, loud, some other adjectives. Alright, I was wrong.
So, child, should I finish, wife?
Yeah, just in case.
Then there was a wonderful shot of a child's arm going up, 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 right into the air.
Is wonderful like terrific? It's just full of wonder or something.
It seems like he appreciated the shot of it, like, you know,
it's still
had to follow.
There's a distance between it. If you're looking at the shot of that as opposed to the violence, it says something. compared to real life. And then when he sees it, though, it's all white. Almost like it is a...
Something fake.
Yeah. But instead of the black and white movie, it's, there's that redness in it. I ate the rest of the cracker. Do you want the rest?
Sure. Would you like to read while I munch on this?
You're good.
So it was going up, up, up into the air. A helicopter with a camera in its nose must have followed it up. And there was a lot of applause from the party seats. But a woman down in the prole part of the house suddenly started kicking up a fuss and shouting that they didn't oughter have showed it, not in front of the kids. They didn't, it ain't right, and not in front of the kids. It ain't until the police turned her out. And I don't suppose anything happened to her. Nobody cares what the proles say. Typical prole reaction. They never...
Maybe a little more ambiguous. Definitely more ambiguous than I thought. But still, the whole wonderful thing, and then typical proles that a child should see this.
That's kind of a terrible thing.
Yeah. Well, if it's okay for kids, it should be okay for Winston. Is he fine with being in that situation? Was it recorded and is going to be in the movies tomorrow?
Is this typical? He's like, well, sometimes you're in a bombing.
Oh, I think I thought he talked about it more, but...
Well, let's try to jump back. Try to find the space here, wife. Resembled a plaster cast. Okay. He kicked the thing into the gutter. And then, to avoid the crowd, he turned down a side street to the right. Within 3 or 4 minutes, he was out of the area which the bomb had affected. And the sordid, swarming life of the streets was going on as though nothing had happened. It was nearly 20 hours. And the drinking shops which the proles frequented, pubs they called them, were choked with customers. From their grimy swinging doors, endlessly opening and shuttering, there came forth the smell of urine, sawdust, and sour beer. In an angle formed by a projecting house in front, 3 men were standing very close together. The middle one of them holding a folded up newspaper, which the other 2 were studying over his shoulders. Even before he was near enough to make out the expression on their faces, Winston could see absorption in every line of their bodies. It was obvious some serious piece of news that they were reading.
So he moved on. He was in a bombing. He kicked the hand and left.
Yeah, seems unbothered. As of now.
Those people seem in the pub seem pretty unbothered too.
You think like people, you know, like during the
They're
wars
reading...
and stuff were like that? I heard stories, but I really hadn't pondered if it was true.
I think people numb themselves to it. But there's a fear that's the energy that's used to cause the numbness. They don't have to, they can't, they won't, they don't have the ability, or so much was taken that they don't know that there's a reason to fear. That fear is telling them something, that something's not right. I don't think women ever really numb themselves to that kind of stuff. Mothers.
No,
Men all the time.
I don't think women could ever be capable of really running away from their feelings. I like dudes.
They're definitely louder about it with their actions. The louder they say, I don't give a fuck, the more they give fucks. Dudes will just hold it in until they get to hurt something or fight something. Instead of understanding, they use that thing to go somewhere else. The deeper stage of hell or something. Just like you. I gotta run away from lies, so I'll just create something different. And wherever that craziness takes me, I will be. Fuck everything in my way. People have to do the same shit with, hold on. With any pretend thing someone can't question, or with anything someone can't question, there comes a layer of disappearing. Forcing something to be normal isn't the normal. That original hurt is what's real. What you do with it isn't.
Can you say that again, please, wife?
That initial hurt is real, and when there isn't an understanding of that hurt, there's a different thing being done. And that different thing is what someone makes up in their imagination. But they don't fucking know. How do you think I didn't get to finish what I said, but that's fine. Nothing I say fucking matters anyway. Everybody just... The first fucking lie... I'm sorry, but I am going to start this again. That first lie, that first hurt...
Yeah.
Death. When we can't just be sad when we're children that we're going to die... and that's not resolved, it puts us in a certain state of mind. So every state of mind after that is split. How do you deal with those feelings? How do people do it? I remember, I don't know if this matters to talk about.
I'm interested, wife.
I remember, I don't think I was in school yet. I think I was 3 years old. I still wanted a certain kind of affection from my parents. And it's a very vivid memory still. That, there was a push away. So, in this state before being pushed away, where it's like, oh, let me cuddle, I still remember wanting to lay on my mother's boobs. There was nothing sexual, and to make it sexual, my fucking god. They were comfortable. So it's a very, very far away memory. I think even I was snuggling with my dad. Can you imagine?
You as a little girl doing that?
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine.
There's still the time where it was like, I want, you gotta touch my chin so I could fall asleep and things of that nature. This is the time that I learned that my parents were gonna die. And I was gonna die.
How did you come to gain this knowledge?
I don't remember exactly, but they spoke about going away forever. I think it might have been from TV, and then I asked them about it.
And they were like, well, at some point you die?
Yeah. Well, dying was going away forever. Growing until there's no growing, and then not being anymore. And I was like, fucking what?
Oh, my reaction, what? You grow till you stop growing and then you stop being?
Yeah, you don't exist anymore. It's kind of like before I was born. I was like, but I'm alive now. I'm here now. And that life is going to be taken away from me. I don't know what kind of justifications I made, but like, I'm not gonna get to play with my stuff anymore. I'm not gonna see my parents anymore. They were gonna go before me. I was gonna have to... their souls go away and their I'm gonna have to do stuff with their bodies or something. And I don't remember how much they told me, and I was kind of figuring out for myself. Not kind of, I was figuring out for myself using reason. Because every child fucking has it, but that death thing makes reason go out the door. I was devastated my entire childhood that death was gonna happen. And the more it affected me, the more I got pushed away. Because nobody could, you know, what is this world that I'm living in where people are just like, meh, 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 if we're gonna die? So I think it's something that, at least for me, I don't know if maybe people are less sentient than me. How could that not affect my parents or my mother? How could that not affect... I went to Christians or Catholic school, and they just... There's, oh, you get to go to heaven with God. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? There is something that makes sense, and you're telling me something that doesn't make sense. To, like, oh, okay, that's fine. But it's like, I need the proof. I always needed the proof. I remember one time my grandmother, I asked my mother if my grandmother didn't like me, and my mother fucking told her. And then my grandmother, like, comes stomping in, I like you, you know, in her foreign accents. Like, how does that make any sense for a child? People are so detached from their child selves that they're like, fuck it, let's have sex with kids. That's not something that should happen to a child. It's bad enough that we learn about death. And maybe teaching children about death is a bad idea. Having it everywhere, being so encapsulated by death. We're in a death cult now. Everything that we think about, even the fucking stupid Christians. They're like, oh, Jesus, fucking, you come take me, death. I'm just waiting to fucking, I'll be in heaven with Jesus. It's like, fuck you. This is your fault. Because you're perpetuating fucking, and the Jews, and the Muslims, but mostly the fucking Jews, and then the Christians, and then the Muslims, perpetuating this fucking death cult. I mean, maybe not the Jews so much, but they fucking agreed to go with the New Testament with the Christians, so they're still responsible. Those motherfuckers in the Jewish part lived hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It's like the death cult is taking our life from us. Because everybody grows up on some wacky fucking religion. And religion is always so much about death. There's spirits that get to live forever, so that which means that there's people that don't get to live forever, because they're not great heroes or something. There's always war. I don't know if it's necessarily the origins of those things, but the people that speak about them. It's like the religion always... They got something to say about death in regards to religion. But who made that connection? Why did all those people in the Old Testament live so long and then eventually started living less? That sounds like de-evolution to me.
Yeah.
But, oh, everything that the Bible is real, but also it's not. It's like... It's all just a bunch of confusing nonsense. Everything is such confusing nonsense. And it's the same way for children. You started out like that, right? When I talk about you can... I think I was fooled for a longer time with my parents than you were. I was on their side maybe until 5 years old or something, because when did The Land Before Time come out?
Ooh, 89? I think that's an 80s movie.
For some of it, maybe my brother wasn't even alive. I watched the fucking Land Before Time. And the mother dies.
Yeah.
Of course. And there's this, I can still hear the lyrics in my head because I watched it so many times, cried every single time. It's like I was born to fucking cry. So every single time I cry, I barely watched Bambi, because by that time, I was like, I just gotta stop. And it was, at that point, I was like, fuck you, die. You know, probably, about my parents. It didn't take long. Well, 7, maybe? Always felt like I'm going to die. So I only have so much time to do what I want to do. And you're making me do things that are making me miserable. You're forcing me to participate in things that make me miserable. It's like, you know. And then there is the authoritarianism. Gotta go to church, gotta do this, gotta do that. Have to fight against it. Because I am a person, I want what I want. You gave me this life, but I don't want to live it the way you want me to. That's up to me.
You've always had free will, apparently.
When do people lose it? When are the chains firmly fucking tied? Because I don't know a single fucking person who isn't bound by something. Even if it's when there's like, that's it. Maybe not. Because I thought, well, fuck it, I'm gonna die. But I didn't. It didn't affect much, except, what do I do? It splits you. The concept of death splits anybody. And it's when is that split gonna catch up with you? Look at fucking Sizemore, fucking Anne Heche, anybody who, Robin Williams, all the famous deaths, famous destructive behaviors, but the mamas and the papas. Fuck it, I'm gonna die, so I'm gonna molest my kids, right? I'm itchy in the thigh. I can't reach with this shoulder.
You have a little drink of water, wife. Thank you.
So how does that relate to fucking Winston? I don't know. He's just like, whatever.
Brushed it off. Don't care if I just about fucking died.
It's doubtful that a child's initial reaction to something bad is a well, or like a numbness, unless maybe if it starts, maybe that's why people try to indoctrinate kids like before they gain sentience into weird sex stuff. They're like, fuck it, let's do babies, so that they grow up doing it and that part of them is already lost. They don't have sentience before they have that crush. No, physically, not, you know, like you like somebody, like somebody. Yeah. I think that's what everybody bad wants. Bring a child up around these things and be strict with it. There's still people who get like, fuck this shit. As soon as they see something that they like that's different. Does it really only take that though? Was there something I liked that was different? Is it contradictions that wake a kid up? Or is it hurt?
Just like a chicken and the egg situation?
Maybe. If I'm not special. I wasn't granted any more free will than anybody else. But doesn't it mean something that I can remember this? Shouldn't... What's there to say to the contrary? Well, you were a kid and you were just too stupid, but... Were you too stupid as a kid? Everybody remembers being so independent, so self-reliant, so...
Yeah.
Are you thinking about something?
I remember being... Or trying to be the most self-reliant.
I think it's part of nature. That there's a point where your awareness comes in. It's like, hey, can I do this? I want to try this. And, you know, there's exploration that...
Usually gets shut down.
Yeah. Oh, there's that at least people... I would bet that anybody can remember some point in their really young single digits when they were aware and they were looking at things and they were enjoying things and their favorite things. Everybody's so nostalgic. it's a contradiction to fucking say no. If you could be nostalgic about a certain point in your life, you could be nostalgic about any other point in your life, as long as you were sentient. I remember doing memory games with myself. Not really games, but I had a thought that just in case, review things and remember.
Like license plates or?
No, faces and names, points, memories, different points in my life. 1 second.
But chuck her outside. Get a few minutes peace in here.
There's no peace. Oh, yeah, maybe she's... I think we're damaging ourselves very badly. To think I got so hypothetically got so many years on this planet and I waste it playing games that I saw the people before me do, and I was like, gay. People don't give their younger selves enough credit, and then they enforce who they are now onto the younger generation, just like our parents did. I can't believe it. I was like, when my fucking generation dies, or when my my parents' generation dies, our generation are gonna fucking do it right.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they're so the same. Like, oh, we got Elon Musk fucking lying to us about going to space and fucking free speech and all this bullshit. What does he know about anything? What does anybody know about fucking anything? When they're doing the same shit as the people fucking before them. That's not time moving fucking forward.
No.
That's pretending we got fucking AI. You don't even know there is no human intelligence. You're all a bunch of fucking retards. It's because you were told you were gonna die. And that you were an idiot when you were younger. And if you ain't making money, if you don't got a fucking social security card, if you this, all the bombardments of contradictions.
Yeah, boatloads.
I wish
Between religion and the army.
if people gave us money, I just thought of the best thing to do.
Oh. Okay.
Take out an ad on YouTube Kids.
Okay.
That's it. I know generally you know what would be good to say. I don't know if I need to fucking...
Gotcha.
I don't need to write it right now. Try to speak to that, like, hey, this is you in the future or some shit, you know? Don't listen to these fucking old people around you.
They're messing.
This is the meaning of life. X is the meaning of life. And everybody around you is trying to tell you that's not the case. Here's the proof.
Is that the direction we gotta go? Are we gonna be
Well, that's why I don't want to fucking convince people to give me money. They should just give me money and I'll do what I gotta do. But it's a word practice at the moment. Because this is some fucking tight shit. This is like your hair is in knots. This is fucking like you're trying to unthread fucking sewing needle. It's like throw that shit away, start again. But we can't because we're humans and we're just gonna die? I mean, if we exploded right now and there was just like a few babies left to like eat grass or something, they would probably do better to survive than fucking we do right now. It would just be like starting from the beginning, like, hey, is this gonna kill me? Oops, yes it did. Well, a good thing there's some more of us.
Definitely closer to nature.
Yeah, but we don't have to be like that. But people are just being so fucking stupid all day, fucking talking about dumb shit. What is fucking life? Is life bitching about fucking stupid guy wearing a red tie and stupid guy wearing a fucking blue tie? Why? Because you want to control. You want to be a part of what is controlling you. Right?
Yeah.
Why don't you start with yourself? What would that mean? What would that look like? What don't you like? Do people even consider this? What don't you like about the political shit that you see your side doing? How do you look at that genuinely? Look at the fucking other side and see if it's being mirrored by your side. Easy peasy kind of fucking stuff. And it's like, hold on a second. Let's follow this rabbit hole of contradiction. Everybody wants to talk about fucking rabbit holes. Rabbit hole of contradictions. And it's like, wait a minute, you're telling me that there are people who fucking get voted in and it's been happening for fucking too fucking long. The thing I was watching about that guy fucking doing the thing about Thomas Jefferson. And there were people who were writing fucking hit pieces about people. There's bad journalism there. It's like, there's a contradiction because you're doing the same shit. How are you any better? But they're too big. Everybody's too big. They could just block. Everybody's pretending to prove something, but they're sweeping up behind them. Oops, sorry. They don't want the fucking footprints being seen. It's a danger to our democracy.
Being able to block people?
No, being fucking someone who, well, I guess that also, but being a source of information where you know goddamn well you're not fucking doing any journalism and telling people that other people are doing fake news. You're not looking at contradictions. You're the one sweeping the past under the rug. Watching that shit with Dan Bramshaw or some shit, one of the guys who was
the eye patch guy?
No, getting news from a source to say it in his suit on the news during the Iraq War. He was getting interviewed. A bunch of people who were on the who were doing news things, who were with the paper. I can't think of the word.
Anchors.
Anchors. Motherfucking anchors. What a terrible fucking word to use to talk about those motherfuckers. That's why I can't think of words, because that word doesn't make any fucking sense. Idiots in suits saying this is the news. The ones who were reporting about the Iraq War, or the beginning of the Iraq War. Like, oh, everybody's got weapons of mass destruction. Look at these keywords. They didn't see what they were fucking doing. I'm sitting here, I can't think of anchor because I want to use my own words to fucking describe things. And everybody's like, it's the danger to our democracy. And they were like, holy shit, if I had known, or if I had been paying attention, I would have known that there were no fucking sources. I was getting my fucking information from just like everybody was getting their information from the same shit. Everything was a lie because afterwards it's like, oh, look at that. This is the government that gave me this information. So I'm like reporting on it. And now fucking 10, 20 years later, it turns out that I was fucking an anchor to misinformation that the government was giving us.
Yeah, I'm not responsible.
It's like, yeah, easy fucking money. Let's just keep fucking reporting. But there was also people who were like, I'm saying there are contradictions, and they were like, shut down. Those people, just like everybody else, just
unpersoned,
should have got together and been like, we're not doing this. Well, they got fucking producers and they got all these fucking people around them. There's a division on the outside, just like there's a fucking division on the inside. The splits. People can't communicate with each other well, rally up for the sake of anything. People pick a thing and they say this is the most important thing. Why isn't it an agreement? Because it would be a cult then. Why isn't there an agreement what the foundation of life is? So what's the anchor of life, fucking life. It's in the fucking... So if anything contradicts that, fucking, let's not see if there's a major threat to America or whatever. And maybe we shouldn't be fucking...
Oh. Wait, we're,
Why does that always happen?
It was struggling a little bit before.
Do you want to connect to a different... Is it going to stop trying to reconnect now?
It shouldn't.
That was relatively quick.
That's going. We're down on Kick and we're down on Twitch. Hey.
What did that? What causes OBS to disconnect like that? It's like every time.
It is a little weird how when you start to get into it and start pointing out contradictions of the government that there's a disconnection.
Division, division, division.
Okay. It looks like...
Well, it's still going kind of low and slow.
Oh, wait. Well.
I think it says it's live, but...
Alright. Cool.
Fucking stupid.
You got something to say? Not anymore. You're a counter-revolutionary.
Fuck terms. It's like all of these chains, you know? This is how you say words, this is how you conduct yourself, this is life.
Always told what to do.
Everything is laws, restrictions, guidelines. Why? And everybody's trying to get their slice of the pie. Either by agreeing with them or being those who get to write them, ignoring it, and just waiting until the guideline monster fucking consumes you. That's why guys do that all the time. That South Park episode where you like just click to agree.
Oh yeah.
I have been reading those things my fucking entire life. And to see people just agreeing, and I have to agree, it hurts. I feel like I'm the last bastion of not 1984. There are people who...
It certainly seems that way, wife.
Yeah. If only, like, Kanye West was educated by me, then he wouldn't have gone through what he had gone through. But they get you eventually. Everybody's running who hasn't been gotten already. There's nowhere to run but here, I think.
Could have been $2 billion richer.
Who?
Kanye.
Oh. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I could take on the whole fucking Jewish question. That's a whole. But I think that shit can go away real quick because this is the point where shit is just imaginary. Everything our parents told us, everything anybody has, it's all imaginary. Any how to conduct any opinion is imaginary unless you've seen things yourself, unless you've measured them. Even the stars are imaginary because if people don't conceptualize and put in their pattern of thought what things are and learn that way. Does that make any sense?
No.
So, the Earth is flat, right?
No, but for this example, yes.
You're taught in school about all these things. Why are you taught in school all these things? Because people in an ancient time that wanted to know things told us how they came about knowing these things. We can witness them ourselves. We can witness the agenda of the contradictions of that Grecian information. Because the Grecian information stood the test of time. And the more you observe things, the more you come to understand things. And it's not, I got this information, I got this information. It's not a fucking hoard. It's not a collection. It's weaving all that information together to create a pattern of life of the universe or something. You know what I mean? People just say, well, this source and that source and this source. It's not about that.
A whole bunch of it.
That's fracturing. It has to all come together. And the things that come together the most are the observable things. Ancient Greek, trying to learn some shit, writing it down, standing the test of time. People protected it. They saw the value and went, oh shit. I know this because there are examples of it. Plato and Dion. People can know something is good. Alexander took over fucking Greek, but he didn't burn that shit. He wanted all the knowledge to survive because it was a commodity. I mean, for a while, fuck him. He was such a lush and such an idiot. I'm not gonna give him any credit for saving anything. But thankfully, he didn't fucking have the mind to destroy everything.
What's that dog doing?
Nothing.
Oh, she's outside.
Oh, yeah.
You'll go grab her. Yeah.
Sorry. BRB.
BRB.
Yeah.
Some auditory inaccuracies.
I think, and maybe this is danger speak, I think there is a freedom in thinking, hypothesizing, having no contradictions to make it not true or prove it wrong, I guess. Okay. That opinions and things that don't exist observably outside of human opinions, culture, religion, all the things that we make up, or all the things that they make up, people have make up, and where people are perpetuating.
Get rid of all the things that aren't observable outside of human.
Yeah. And you can see how far we've strayed from knowing the observable. If that information, the Greeks and all this ancient alien information that people think couldn't have been found by humans, couldn't have been discovered and practiced and frickin' acted upon.
It's lost knowledge.
It's it's ancient alien knowledge. People couldn't have done that. That part of mainstream or something is gone. To hear like Joe Rogan freaking, oh, you're so stupid, bro. You think people could actually build such a perfect structure? It's like, come on. It was fucking made out of stone, and I've watched a person chisel fucking stone before. Why are you so retarded? It, like, when I saw that, I lost all respect for him. There was always, like, he crossed a line, and it was like, okay, now I get it, you know? It's hard to know the intentions of people sometimes. Going back and watching Graham Hancock and just, like, seeing him not get to any relevant question that is fixed in reality. Like, where did this how could that, like, everything is a lie. Everything is misinterpreted, at least by him. He's like, how could this structure be so perfect? They would have needed lasers. We talked to the experts. They would have needed lasers. So, where did they come from? Why were they here? All these things. And, like, I can't even make it
ridiculous enough.
It's too, yeah, because I'm not capable of going into that chaos too much myself. But he does, like you have, just jumping to all these, like, so why are you asking these questions? Where are you going? Because you didn't start from anywhere good. People lost the ability to know. They lost the understanding because there's something in the way that was like, no, it's this. It's culture, it's government, it's religion. That you start from what is observable. You don't just jump into law and shit because it starts from corruption. It starts from the hundreds, thousands of years of information. Who is this person and how do people make... There's so much chaos there to ask. You don't know anything, you go to school, fucking learn about social studies, this is what people think. It draws a picture for you instead of drawing that picture yourself. Everybody starting from the same place because we all drew that picture ourselves and saw the same thing. That's why some shit like ancient Greece could happen. And they were talking about it. They were trying to communicate.
They're all seeing the same piece?
Yeah. Socrates and the ultimate truth. But what happened, and what people don't know, and what I didn't fucking know, I closed the book because you didn't put the book, you put the bookmark here, but opened the book behind me and I knocked it over, and that's your fault. Socrates, sorry, I'm not talking to you, sweet boy, lived in a time, okay, this is what Plato says, or at least it was translated to. Plato says that during Socrates was killed by his family. His family was governing the area that Plato and Socrates lived in. There were a few families that were in cahoots, or maybe it was just kind of Socrates' family and other people in that area. Yeah, because it was Athens? I think it was Athens. Doesn't fucking matter. His family overthrew the government. Or people he was associated, they asked him to join, and he was so grossed out by what they were trying to do, but he couldn't stop them. He's always been in these predicaments where he was thinking more ahead than anyone. Except for maybe Socrates. At the time, he learned it from... He was like, holy shit. That context, I think, says a lot. That thought and action was necessary, and only thought was happening. But thought was only happening with some people. There was like some sort of awareness that seems like it was maybe new, because before then was a lot more warring. And the only thing so far that I've been able to ascertain is that there were ancient people who did things the best. I don't know if that's some sort of like religion thing or what happened, but that's what Plato said. That people aren't doing things the way that the forefathers did. But there wasn't a lot of people, there was lots of war, and who knows how many years of peace or whatever before then. Probably not many. People were warring a lot, and now there was a time of a little bit of rest. There was still some wars going on. There was still the Peloponnesian War or whatever, but they somehow got...
Which involved Athens.
Yeah. They had some time and space to think. And someone like Socrates, someone like Plato, was able to come along and say something new. It wasn't everybody that was a fucking scholar, poet, fucking... There wasn't a lot of people thinking about the most forward direction. There was a lot of people who used words to trick or to justify the sophists or whatever. They just try to win arguments. Maybe there was a different kind of warfare at some point going on. You know, like using political things instead of like virtue and war and respect or honor or some shit. Maybe whatever was going on then. Things got more divided. Maybe there was too many powerful people at some, like the big chief gave too much land to other people and they're like, well, I want more or something. I would imagine it happens everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that matters when thinking about that there was only room for so many people to try to do the things that they tried to do. Learn about observableness. Pythagoras and the rest of them. Plato took it a step further. That it's not just what's observable on the outside, but there's also something observable on the inside. It's more of an exploration of the mind instead of an exploration of shapes or volume or
squirrels or whatever. Isn't that what Aristotle did?
Yeah, but he was after.
He was doing outside things as well.
Yeah. Yeah. He did some mind stuff, but there's nobody like Plato.
He did stuff of the soul.
Yeah, trying to find an origin of person, I guess.
Talking about good and virtuous things. I remember reading.
Yeah. I don't know if he ever said it's just what's best for everyone.
I don't think so.
There had to be more reasoning at that point, you know, because they have to consider gods and... But the gods said some things about... They had gods to, like, represent basic human nature, I guess. Maybe that's how they spoke at some point. It's the gods are just the actions of people.
Explains why Zeus and stuff was a piece of shit, because everybody's a piece of shit.
Yeah. The most powerful. How is a dude who has unlimited power gonna restrain himself, really? He usually they get
tricking women, changing into forms, and banging chicks.
Yeah.
And winning vast fights.
Don't hate the player, hate the game? I don't know. That's not my... He can't reach himself to lick on his back because of that stupid collar. I hope I can take it off of him eventually. A little bit. Just so he can heal. Or maybe we could find one that doesn't make him itchy. It's hard living in the wetlands.
That weird creature that was in our lawn. I saw him earlier today.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Closer to the barn.
Maybe he'll find himself a place to stay warm.
I think we need to be hung out here.
Yeah. We might as well eat our garbage, right? I watched this fucking thing. Oh, well, let's do all these fucking arbitrary things, landfills, or to make it so that what was it? Fucking like feeding mealworms trash or something. There was like some crazy fucking stupid thing so that you could feed your chicken like gross larvae. And it's like
people
will
farm
deliver
worms so they can
so
feed
these
to
people
chickens.
farm worms, right, to feed chickens, where they get the feed or to procreate these fucking worms. They're like fly fucking larvae or some shit. It's disgusting. Maggots are so. People, they buy like recycling or something because they're like, we're doing something for the environment because this stuff doesn't turn into harmful CO2 from the fucking blah 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 garbage.
Okay.
But there's still the money that goes into and whatever kind of strange fucking weird laws you gotta do to fucking buy garbage. So much red tape, I would imagine, because everything fucking, as opposed to just being able to have a place of your own to put that garbage. So what? You throw your peppers or whatever got moldy, you throw them out into the fucking yard and a deer eats it, you know?
Yeah. The chickens eat your scraps.
Yeah. If everything that you gotta cut off a fucking onion and shit, they don't give you all the pieces of, like, vegetables because probably, the people are just gonna cut it off and it's gonna go to a landfill, so you don't get, like, those really cool Brussels sprout sticks, for instance.
Yeah.
But where is it going anyway? Because they're not giving it to us. They're just sending it straight to the fucking... Or maybe, I guess, maybe the farm keeps it or some shit. I don't know.
Depends where
Do they
processed.
even... Can't they probably have middlemen to fucking process their... Like, who gives a shit anymore? It's so gross.
I was hoping that other farm we go to frequently would have Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
The fall harvest so far has been...
Like, yet.
Yeah.
It's like they just don't give a shit anymore. But why would anybody give a shit? Because nobody likes anybody. Everything is, you're constantly having to fight for your shit being taken from you. Everything's got to be a struggle. And it's all fucking for nothing. It's also a bunch of stupid assholes can play stupid asshole games. And it's like, if you just stop doing it, they have no power to do it anymore. But then what do? Hi. I keep hearing there's like a conspiracy that there's not as many people in the world as we're to think. Like, census is bullshit.
Huh.
Like, numbers are inflated. If you do dealings with China, why wouldn't anybody who does dealings with China, and in, like, not even just, like, a tolerable way, but, like, I want to make money off of you kind of shit. I don't want to try to manipulate you to fight, like, going down that fucking bullshit rabbit hole. Why wouldn't anybody use those same methods? They learn something and they're doing the same thing. It's like, that's the path of least resistance, and that's what everybody does. If it's easy, fuck it. Just keep lying until I win. I don't even know. And it's so much chaos that it's like, how do you even tell people? How do you even talk about it to an individual? What do you expect to do? I don't even know what people would fucking say. They're so stupid. And it's like, I know somebody is stupid when they start doing the fucking culture thing. When they start doing the fucking religion thing. Because those are not observable. You have to use your power of observation to observe what is true about those things based on what is known to be true. And we're so mixed up now, which is fine. It's like a bunch of stuff that maybe had to happen because in the way of Plato trying to learn from the contradictions. And you see some crazy shit. What did anybody know about death before people started dying? Or about growing old? I guess I'm thinking of like, you know, like megalodons or something, things that live for so many years, and that freaking shit in the Bible. How sentient could those people be?
Living to be 988 or whatever.
Yeah. And like the more you're aware of life, the more you're aware of death. And why is that just a learned thing? Why isn't everybody wants to invent something that they don't understand? Or they want to invent something to combat something they don't understand. How do we get to space? How do we fucking stop aging? How do the blah 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 blah. The science isn't
Elon Musk and baby foreskins.
coming up with some ridiculous question like that. Whatever paper we were reading before, it started out with like a stupid question. I'm like, I gotta see.
Trusting your gut makes you susceptible to bullshit.
Yeah. Sure, we'll go with that. I don't even remember. I just know it was fucking stupid. It like, because it doesn't start
measuring the truth.
Measuring something observable. What is bullshit? They didn't say in the paper how to define bullshit.
No.
That is the number one fucking observable mistake. So why is it? This is the human part of observability. It's observing the person. When we observe the outside world, when we're measuring shit like that, we are using our body, our mind, to look at something on the outside of us. This is after it's looking inside yourself to observe yourself in third person. So now if you start here on the left, where nature is, where there are things to be observed, right?
Okay.
There is the human you, who has the capacity to see those things.
Okay.
Why not observe yourself observing those things? Because it is possible.
It makes sense.
So when people are doing science now, they believe they are observing these things. But what they are doing is observing themselves observing those things. Whether they know it or not. Because everything that has happened to us led us to a point of somewhat sentience. Because you have to think about X, Y, and Z. So many contradictions there. It's just inevitable. When someone says something bullshit, they were influenced by a person. That is something you have to know as a person observing themselves, observing the outside world. The outside world isn't just what everybody does, because that's human. That's the difference between human and nature. Nature doesn't change. Everybody's different. So it has to and can be separated.
Okay.
You feel me?
I believe so, wife. Because you are different, you are able to...
In ancient Greek, did they come up with whatever words to describe things, or did they use a language with intention?
It was with intention, wife.
So they didn't have 18 million words to describe something vaguely.
Right.
We have bullshit, thingy, fucking, all the kinds of words to describe stuff. See? There you go again. Filler words. This bitch uses a filler word in her title and doesn't give what that definition that we can all relate to is. That seems fucking out of sight. But that's like everybody now. That's politics. That's religion. That's culture. I'm going to use the words that I want to use, and it doesn't matter what my intentions are. Because I am just a person observing the outside world and reacting to the outside world. I'm not a person observing myself observing the outside world. That's where the predator is. It is something to be filled that, if not filled, is going to be controlled by default, path of least resistance. And that's whatever it was before, whatever the before is shaping it to be. And if humans with free will has shifted everything to just go downhill, be negative, because you can observe yourself observing the outside world. And the people who know that can use it against everyone. Law, religion, culture. This is what you like. This is what you crave. And everybody goes, okay, they know me so well.
They fill you up before you can fill you up.
Yes. And it's bad intention. Because if it's good intention, you would be getting filled up because someone was guiding you to fill you up. Vis-a-vis me. With you.
Yeah, you've always tried to point out the best, wife. And I fought you.
Not even just the best. Trying to show you that you start with the observable world first. It doesn't matter if someone tells you they can fly, you better make sure you saw them fly. And if you did see them fly, I know you're fucking crazy, because I know nobody can fly. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You're so lost, and everyone is so lost. What, are you trying to make me join a cult? What, are you trying to change me? Yes. Because you are not observing yourself, observing the outside world. You are just being completely reactionary, and there's a part of you that's empty. A part of you, not that's empty, a part of you that someone else filled. And you're just singing the fucking tune. What do you think fucking military is? Oh, but you're supposed to have... No. Doesn't make any fucking sense, because let's see all the examples where war wasn't a fucking good idea. Everybody's got a fucking story, I'm sure. Everybody alive now knows about the fucking Iraq War.
Yeah.
The Iraq War. Everybody knows that there is corruption that just gets to go and do whatever it fucking wants. Oh, but not mine. The thing that I like isn't corruption. Isn't corrupted at all. There's good people out there. No. There are people who, if you can't see themselves, I can see people observing themselves interacting with the outside world. Why not?
Makes sense that you could do that.
Because everybody is... That is a part of everyone. And if I can see my own and I can measure things, I can see roundaboutly inside. I gotta change it a lot of times, but I know when people are in control and are not in control. I can watch people not give me a chance to fucking speak to them. Never going in my direction to... I mean, to be fair, I don't go in their direction anymore either, because I'm so fucking sick of it. At this point, like, they just feed. They're zombies. They're feeding off of brains. It's worse than the fucking Matrix Wake Up. That was for the 90s. That wasn't for these idiots right now. Because there was a point in time where we were observing ourselves and trying to understand it. And what happened to the Wachowski brothers? Trying to observe themselves, observing the outside world? They made that fucking stupid Jupiter thing. They made the Matrix fucking 4 or whatever number it was on. And they took fucking hormone pills. Because they lost that part to the outside world that was forcing them to define that part of them.
They lost a part of themselves that was forcing them to define themselves?
Is that what I said? They lost the war for themselves.
Makes sense. Who told them to be ladies?
The whole world, I think. If you are scared, if you... They're men who lost the battle of the self. There's nowhere else to go but female. Female, feminine.
Did both brothers go at the same time?
I don't think so.
One went and saw it and they went, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That looks good to me too.
Mm-hmm.
From
what it was played out.
Was it the big brother first?
I don't know which one's older.
Oh, older brother, big brother.
They probably just saw the happiness on the outside. It's like a cult or something. I feel so much better. You know how we hate everything in the world? Suddenly it's fucking better. Or however they spoke to each other, I don't know. Maybe they were just weird with themselves. Or each other. And the pitcher stayed a dude while the catcher got dreads and
gross
titties. It was probably, I don't know who convinced them that was going to help them. Where did it go wrong? When did it become about your sex?
It's like the slippery slopes that people were saying about the gay thing.
Because people don't hold on to their... When you're looking at yourself, you know why you're doing the things that you do. If you're looking at yourself, looking at the outside world, or interacting, whatever. What kept you not gay? Just because you weren't about it? Because there was military influence? Because you had an attraction to something in the beginning and you just so happened to hold on to it because it wasn't destroyed? Or, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you're not observing yourself, then it's only what's being taken away from you.
The hole that gets filled up with whatever did the digging.
Mm-hmm. And if it's you, and you're doing the best for everything, but how possible is that now? Or what would it take to tell people these things to have, because this is a new thing. This is something that I think people don't understand. I think they take their selves for granted. And the way to check is start with everything. Start observable. Everything you know is not true until you find it yourself to be true, because you have those tools. And if anything, you have the ancient Greeks to go by, or just making that dough yourself, making dough with your own starter, I guess would be the... You gather the information bit by bit and just keep going. Why is 2 + 2 4? I mean, I could go with the way I say it, but I'm different. That's not my journey right now. Somebody who starts their journey right now. I don't know. Numbers are just representations of things that we define by a specific border. But yeah. Is that how you say it to a second grader?
How do you say this is the concept of four fucking bananas?
Well, I get you're observing it. You see that this is one bunch of bananas, and then when you break them apart, that's kind of how that's why math was written. Because that's how you have to know math. That's where it starts. And then if Janie had 2 marbles, fuck you. That's not... Teach it the same fucking way. You're not evolving it. Your 5th edition of fucking math book is your 27th edition. How far does it go? I want to get more ridiculous, but I feel like they would do a 5th edition.
Oh, yeah.
It's like within a year, they're making another one. And they're doing the same shit as Scientology. just to bring it to a contradiction, to make it easy. Scientology, they say you spend thousands of dollars on a book that may just change by a comma. People have rummaged through them and have found tiny specific, and they said sometimes it wouldn't be anything at all, it would just be the cover.
Yes,
so
some tiny little change. There was a freaking class that I took in college. It was a beginner thing. I was not a very good student. But the book was written by this professor and another professor at the school. They co-authored this book that was teaching this that was for this class. I ended up failing, so I had to take it again. Next semester comes around, I'm like, okay, well, at least I don't got to buy the fucking book. They came out with a second edition, and they said you can't, because we've changed things around and we've done this and that, that you can't. The
corruption was right in front of you. Instead of it being like Random House or whatever publication fucking bullshit, it was the professor that was fucking. That's intense.
Sent me like, did he write it while he was teaching us, and that's like he didn't know what the shit he was doing, and I was a bad student anyways.
Did you pass it then? I mean, I would have been like, so if you taught it wrong, why am I wrong? But I don't know what kind of situation it was in.
I think I passed with a C.
What did you ask them what they changed? Did you check for differences and start a fuss? I mean, it's hard when you're a college student, but when you're an adult.
Some of it was the order of the questions in the, like at the end, there's questions at the end of each section. And so they wanted to be like, well, I like to assign, the odd questions. Well, they jumbled them around, so it's like, if I tell you...
How much was it?
Like $85.
So he could have just printed it out. Those questions.
Yeah.
Like, hey, your nose is growing. I'd be like, print it. I'll borrow a book and I'll fucking print that shit out myself.
If you go through the books, I still have both those books.
Ugh. Okay, we should do that. I'll do that. That's interesting. Instead of fucking swimming through the sky on a choo-choo train. How disgusting. And it's like, it's playing the same game. Oh, you gotta just do what you gotta do. Well, then we're all gonna just go down this shit.
It was the class that taught me on, off, or nothing at all. You're the one who taught me that. It was that class that.
So they couldn't tell you why 2 different electrical charges needed 3 different
states or something like that.
Why there's 3 different states to that? How fucking easy. They're too full of themselves to instead of go in the opposite direction and refine, it's just fucking pile on and try to make money and try to...
I think one was this Indian guy, and the other author professor guy, his big tout is that he was on the team that built the initial Tesla battery for the electric vehicle car thing with Greg Grusk.
Being able to do things doesn't mean you can communicate them. if you could be good at something and not being good at talking about that something. It's like every autist was just like a professor or something that was pretending to say words. Saying the words the way you should hear the way I want to say words. And don't question it. Right? Because I feel like everything that I've ever read in school has always been that. Nobody is communicating to everyone at the same time. They're saying their fucking language, and if you don't like it, suck their dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But language could be an observable thing as well. Sky. This is the word that I use to describe that, but they put too much... Everything is disjointed. Putting weird... Like, they put their... I know people put too much value into the specific words they want to use because they name things after themselves and things they like all the time. So it's like, look, I'm part of reality now. And that's stupid. There should be... Actually, oh my goodness. When my friend called me, you remember when she was like, I do say actually a lot. And I was like, when you say actually, you replace the information I need to tell me that's real. That it's actual. Stuff that I can see myself. And she just went fucking ballistic. Well, no. She understood then when I told her that. And she has said before, it's like, I say that all the fucking time, and I want to stop. So she calls me the last time, and I didn't mention anything, because, whatever. But she went, like, every other fucking word was actually. But then she said something like, almost to the effect of, it'll make me feel better if you tell me that I did a good thing. That my decision was right. And I was like, you know, there's a lot of complicated things to... I should have been like, first of all, everything you told me was actually... You didn't give me buffalo, buffalo, buffalo. You didn't give me any information. And there was no... and this is a sensitive thing, and, like, feelings, and I would have to work my feelings out, and I can't do that while I'm talking to someone that I know it's gonna end because she cuts off twice because of the cell phone towers, and, it's a 30... She talks to her mom first, so there's 35 minutes, and this and that and the other thing, and it's so chaotic that I can't... That's not an environment that I can talk about those things. So I can't just say, yeah, the. And I know when I'm fucking driving, I can't fucking concentrate on... And she drives like a fucking maniac. She wants to get where she's got to go because that's her fucking life. And I mean, that's what we were like when we were kids, but hello, you have one now.
I still driving like a maniac?
Yeah, when I was with, like... I'm sure she's got the sight because we have been in cars together before. There was like... It was almost like we were a gang of car drivers, you know? There was a very specific ones of us that we learned from each other. We drove each other's cars, or we were driving around together. And there was the ones that didn't drive. The gay one, now he's gay because he doesn't think about anything except sex, I guess, and anime or Newgrounds. I don't know what he's fucking doing now. He didn't drive. I think the
one we met at
dudes-
the garden.
He didn't drive either.
But
the one that I was texting trying to convince him that maybe life isn't what he thinks it is.
Oh, yes.
Ow. Okay.
But then you mentioned the one who wasn't either one of those two, so...
Yeah. I think the dudes didn't drive. I remember all chicks. There was some, but they were like always getting into car crashes and shit. So, but we were kind of
not bad ones.
We were very in the zone of driving. You can tell when someone can slowly swerve in and out of traffic, or they do the things that, and you can tell when they're not fucking paying attention. So, I am not questioning their ability to do that responsible rage driving. However, it's not what's best for everyone. I think we should go back to fucking horse and carriage, you know? Like, it's...
Take a couple months to get across the country.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Trains?
There has to be some sort of... people aren't ready for it yet. In my imagination, people aren't ready for it yet. There has to be agreements. And people being able to conduct themselves.
No conductors. There's no problems. We got to figure it out.
It's either like the future or the past. The future of Wall-E, where they're all just getting fucking... I don't know, they're getting harvested for their poop or whatever because they're eating cheeseburgers and like watching TV on little floaty chairs.
Yeah.
Some idiocracy shit. Or fucking back to horse and buggy. Like... And this is how it happened. Land. So, if the theory that everybody is spouting, that there's too many people. Overpopulation. I don't think so. I think, and we can't obviously do the slave thing again, but I think that there is a way, the most observable, the smartest people, the most going in the right direction.
Okay.
Having a certain amount of land, and we would have to do it ourselves first. That's why we need money. This is a science project. Come up with the best community that gives the best advantage for anyone who's the best suited. And work out what is the best way to lift people up who aren't otherwise lifting themselves up. Who maybe it's just a matter of fucking red tape bullshit, not even wanting to fucking deal with it, or trying to get around it. It's not about skill, it's about getting the paperwork to do a skill. And that's fucking retarded. And I think there's enough information to know the best way to live. Listen, if I had the opportunity to create a house where it has the best things, wouldn't have $1 million fucking this and that. It would have a root cellar. It would have an open air kitchen. One of those big fucking fire things. You have woks, you have fucking storage, you have not fucking gaslit stoves. And look at these fucking look at these kitchens that are in these fucking houses that we've lived in, that we see other people fucking living in.
Yeah.
Oh, look, the countertop fucking gradually moves down. Like, so fucking what? The conveniences is stupid. There is an observable way. Kitchens gotta be messy. Kitchens can also be made in not a stainless steel fucking way, where it's like you can have the openness, and it's good to have the openness of it. So what, you fucking drop things? It's a fucking dirt floor, and there are cats, and there's like there's...
You are Italian.
Yeah. Pizza ovens. Why isn't shit like that something that is also heating your fucking house? You know? Kitchens aren't made in a place where they serve any good. It's 1,000,000 degrees over here, and it's too cramped, and it's too this and that, while your bedroom's over there. I would like to have the time to design things. I have a lot of I see it a lot in my head, but to have like and we would have to work it out, and the best thing is that it would be cheap. Look at all these fucking shitty Corningware fucking things I have, and all this fucking... What are those things? Those things everybody's buying, different copper plates and granite plates, or cooking things.
The pans.
Nobody knows that all that shit is fucking useless. There are ways to break things down so that you don't... Multifunctionalities. You don't use something with the... I can't remember. Tupperware. Teflon. Thank you. All this crap that's like barely put together, and look, this does this and this does this. It doesn't make for good meals.
I seasoned that, and it worked with that cast iron pot.
Yeah.
So we not use that aluminum one so much.
To have the space on a stovetop or a cooking top to use big, good utilities like that cast iron.
The griddle.
It makes all the sense in the world. A place where you can do the essentials. Everybody, I'm sure by now, if you called Gordon Ramsay, a grill, you only need this kinds of fucking knives. All these other things are fucking bullshit. It doesn't matter. Everybody's so... Showers. I keep thinking about the shower. These stupid fucking tubs. These stupid fucking floors. Why don't you have a toilet? Well, it doesn't matter because people, just do the design. But I would want to do like the best thing. I would like to find the best way to live. Why not? I would love to take a shit in the shower. To have... Why? How hard would it be to extend if it was just like tiles and drainage and stuff? I mean, you gotta do pipes now and shit. But pipes, the pipes now are fucking stupid. Why isn't that water going out somewhere good? It's just all fucking wastewater. It's not... Nobody has done really, like, a cool thing and it be standard.
Yeah.
All these little boxes on a hillside, why don't they come with, like, prefab gardens so that the piping is useful?
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
That's a development worth being a part of, maybe.
Yeah.
So those other ones, you gotta have 5 boulders in your yard.
So much, so arbitrary, and it's like, it's just cults. It seems all just culty. Anything, religion, culture, legal, fucking, all of it is just a cult. Because it doesn't consider the observable world. It's like, I'm getting to that, you know? Everything's stuck behind red tape, arbitration, steps. You only get that when you're a level 33 Mason. Why even? How stupid do you have to be? Why you gotta masturbate in a coffin to understand the world around you?
Oh, the skull and bones thingy.
Yeah. There was like, can we get a new dish? I took 3 bites of this and it was a freaking hair in like every one of them. I don't know if it's the same one and I just keep putting it back. I don't know. Should we BRB to get a matzo?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't see that could happen?
I did it on the other ones and it broke right down the line.
What, in the middle?
I pressed down and it broke along the... When I had the last one. I thought I'd do the same thing.
Why not do it in the center? Are you sure you didn't do it in the center that time?
I may not have, wife.
I was just thinking, you know, because I was saying, oh, cool. I could have been president. And I mean, it would have fought the Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
And won.
Every time you mention the Illuminati, it goes red.
Really? That's weird. Maybe it's a ghost.
No, we're trusting our guts. It's bullshit. Help.
Everybody before you is like, you gotta do the right thing to get in the ranks. But the right thing is judged by people who could potentially be doing the wrong thing. And they don't look to see how you go up to fucking Ted Cruz or some shit and be like, this is what you're doing wrong. It's like, well, I can't because there's all these forces around me and blah, blah, blah. And you have to play the game. If you have to play the game to change the game, can you really change the game?
No, because you're playing it. We've already succumbed to his rules, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what I would say. We were talking about, oh shit. I lost it. Oh, separation of church and state. There isn't a separation if there's... Well, first of all, there's never going to be a separation because people who go to church have to deal with the state or whatever. So, then, to exude power on someone by having them have to sign this and that to claim so they can do tax-free stuff, this shows that there's a strong force and a weak force.
Yeah.
I don't know how I keep doing that. It's not... Do you want to try different things since my hands are...
All right. Yeah. That's the balance. We're back to... Yeah, I believe it's a cycle. So if we do this again, hold it right there.
Does it still record when we're doing that?
Yeah. I think we're just changing settings.
So maybe, since there can never be a separation, maybe they should be the same thing.
They should be treated as the same thing?
Mm-hmm. It's both stupid and gay and retarded. They want something that we have observed can't be true. It's like they take the ancient Greek information and throw it out the window that you can observe action and reaction in nature.
They tell you not to look at it. Don't question the government. Don't question the Vatican. Question the law.
But that's why it's so weak and feeble. Because as soon as the people go, hey, I'm onto you, it's all gone. All of it. Even if every woman, most women who influence men, like, hey, you ain't going off to war. And women have always been second. I guess, just like in the Odyssey.
Left at home. But still having to suffer.
Your wife becomes property of whatever you gave yourself to. Such a cult. If it looks like a cult and smells like a cult, maybe you could reconsider what the fuck you're doing.
Should we try to read a little bit more?
Oh, yeah. I forgot we were doing that. I don't even know what... Did I get to my point? Who cares? Death. Sorry, death is holding us back.
So what was going on here?
Death and taxes.
They're getting...
In the form of an air raid.
Yeah, Winston he participated, was victim of a bombing. They just brushed it off.
They didn't just brush it off, though. That's the whole point. That they didn't just brush it off. That fear was replaced, was used to create something different because they're not aware.
Oh, that's right. Big Brother's there instead of
where
they could be.
That observer is Big Brother. He's the one, that predator spot, observing the person who observing the universe. But it's in our minds, and we're supposed to fill it, right?
Yeah. See, Winston here was reading, or he saw a group of people, a couple fellas, reading a newspaper. And they were quite... It was obviously some serious piece of news that they were reading.
You see the juxtaposition that he did? That they were reading in a newspaper, and it was pretty serious, but there was a bombing outside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're more engaged on what's on the paper than what's going on around them. Because someone told them that something was worth more than the other. Oh, the bombings, that's the bad guys. Don't worry about them. This is what's important. Big Brother.
What? Wait, why aren't you relating it to what we were just talking about?
The Big Brother filled them. He's the one that filled up their brains that it's the Eurasians and stuff, but Big Brother will keep them safe and not going.
But they're not.
They're not going. What the fuck is I'm being bombed? I'm just trying to live. The shit's going on here.
They're not upset about deaths.
No, Winston. Yeah, he kicked that hand aside and
everybody's looking in the newspaper, but people just died. There's people
blown to bits from the bombing and houses ruined.
Friends dead, neighbors dead, things destroyed, chaos. And they're reading it in a newspaper instead of observing it outside. Observing themselves observing it. Feelings. Because Big Brother's there.
He's always watching. He was a few paces away from them when suddenly the group broke up and two of the men were in violent altercation.
Taking it out on each other? Because they can't take it out on... They see the person, that Big Brother's in that position. He's in you, so I'll fight you.
For a moment, they seemed almost on the point of blows. Can't you bleeding well listen to what I say? I tell you no number ending in 7 ain't won for over 14 months. Yes, it has, then.
They fought about fucking religious shit, mystical number bullshit, luck.
Yeah.
They're just lucky that they didn't get bombed?
No, it's not. Back home, I got the whole lot of them over 2 years wrote down on a piece of paper. I takes them down as regular as the clock, and I tell you no number ending in 7. Yes, a 7 has one. I could pretty near tell you the bleeding number. 407 it ended in. It were in February, 2nd week of February. February, your grandmother.
Are they fighting over the date that the last bombing happened? Like how is he writing down the bombings?
I tell you that no number ending in 7 ain't won for over 14 months.
Oh, one, a betting thing.
WON.
Okay.
So February, your grandmother, I got it all down in black and white. And I tell you, no number, oh, pack it in, said the third man. They were talking about the lottery. He called it. Winston looked back when he had gone 30 meters. They were still arguing with vivid, passionate faces. The lottery, with its weekly payout of enormous prizes, was the one public event to which the proles paid serious attention. It was probable that there were some millions of proles for whom the lottery was principal, if not the only reason for remaining alive. It was either their delight, their folly, their anodyne, their intellectual stimulant.
And they're writing things down themselves. They are writing things down on a piece of paper and saying it's true.
No, it never ended in 7.
But they don't understand the bigger picture that it's all fucking controlled by Big Brother fucking lottery. What do you mean?
It's all a trick. Where the lottery was concerned, even people who could barely read and write seemed capable of intricate calculations and staggering feats of memory. There was a whole tribe of men who made a living simply by selling system, forecast, lucky amulets. Winston had nothing to do with the running of the lottery, which was managed by the Ministry of Plenty. But he was aware, indeed everyone in the party was aware, that the prizes were largely imaginary.
And they have all these lucky trinkets, and none of that is gonna work. They're not controlling their life. They're using their imagination to try to find a way to influence like Big Brother influences.
Lucky amulets and trinkets remind me of that Sailor Moon stuff.
Why? They weren't lucky.
No, but they were made to be lucky. People buy them.
Yeah.
They think they're lucky, and then it turns out they're
but
energy sapping.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I thought you were talking like Sailor Moon's thing. I was like, she does the work, though. Yeah, when they sell things that just end up taking all the just creating negative energy and then taking it.
They get crowds of people.
That's the thing. They create negative energy, though. Those things, they get jealous over them. Or, like, with Sailor Mars, what's her name again? Margaret? Doesn't matter.
Margaret Mars.
She was giving out those lucky things for some holiday, and they ended up becoming a negative thing. And
yeah, I think a bunch of times, like, love charms.
Yeah, and they needed Sailor Moon to get them free of it for some reason. They still just kept doing the same shit, though.
Yep. Let's see. Winston had nothing to do with the thing that was running. Blah, blah. Only small sums were actually paid out. The winners of the big prizes the heck? Only small sums were actually paid out. The winners of big prizes being non-existent persons. So the if there's somebody who won it, you know, that person wasn't real. Just reported as it. In the absence of any real intercommunication between one part of Oceania and the other, this was not difficult to arrange.
Well, isn't it kind of like that now, though? I mean, you got one person who wins millions of dollars, but the government takes 60% of it or some shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's all just a scheme. Why not make it so that people have a lottery to win a whole bunch of money, but not that much? What is it, like $50,000, and all those millions of dollars just turn into another 50? You know, when they're like, now the jackpot is just make it an additional. Now somebody else gets to win $50,000 or whatever. And as a matter of fact, why don't you just fix fucking currency anyway? Because it's all fucking stupid. I'll boob like a pancake.
I'll eat that pancake.
You wish.
I do. But if there was hope, it lay in the proles. You had to cling on to that. When you put in words, it sounded reasonable. It was when you looked at the human beings passing you on the pavement that it became an act of faith. The street into which he had turned ran downhill. He had a feeling that he had been in this neighborhood before.
So why does he think he kind of glanced over that? Probably for a reason. Why does the promise for freedom lie in the proles?
Because he can't do anything.
And they get to write their own paper. So that's kind of interesting, too.
Yeah, he sees them more free than he sees himself.
Yeah, he doesn't get to write down numbers. He doesn't even get to participate in this fake lottery thing.
Yeah. You know, acting a fool out in the street, you'll get unpersoned. He had a feeling that he had been in this neighborhood before. That there was a main thoroughfare not far away. From somewhere ahead, there came a din of shouting voices. A street took a sharp turn, and then they ended in a flight of steps which led down to a sunken alley, where a few stall keepers were selling tired-looking vegetables. At this moment, Winston remembered where he was. The alley led into the main street, and down the next turning, not 5 minutes away, was the junk shop where he had bought the blank book, which was now his diary. And in the small stationer's shop not far away, he had bought his pen holder and his bottle of ink.
It was a different shop?
I guess so.
You just said?
Yeah.
Where did he buy his bottle of ink? And his pen?
In a small stationer's shop not far away.
Huh.
He paused for a moment at the top of the steps. On the opposite side of the alley, there was a dingy little pub whose windows appeared to be frosted over, but in reality were merely coated with dust. A very old man, bent but active, with a white mustache that bristled forward like those of a prawn, pushed open the swing door and went in. As Winston stood watching, it occurred to him that the old man, who must be 80 at the least, had already been middle-aged when the revolution happened. He and a few others like him were the last links to that now existed with the vanished world of capitalism. In the party itself, there were not many people left whose ideas had been formed before the revolution. The older generation had mostly been wiped out in the great purges of the 50s and 60s. And with few who survived, had long ago been terrified into complete intellectual surrender. If it were anyone alive who could give you a truthful account of conditions in the early part of the century, it could only be a prole. Suddenly the passage from the history book that he had copied into his diary came back into Winston's mind.
Another reason why the hope lied with the proles.
Because they're the only people who could remember what it was like before the party.
Yeah.
So suddenly the thing came back into his mind, and a lunatic input.
Or they had the most memory of, because Winston was a kid, he was still there, and his generation's gonna get purged too.
Yeah. And a lunatic impulse took hold of him. He would go into the pub. He would scrape acquaintance with that old man and question him. He would say to him, "Tell me about your life when you were a boy. What was it like in those days? Were things better than they are now, or were they worse?" Hurried, lest he should have time to become frightened, he descended the steps and crossed the narrow street. It was madness, of course. As usual, there was no definite rule against talking to proles and frequenting their pubs, but it was far too unusual an action to pass unnoticed. If the patrols appeared, he might plead an attack of faintness, but it was not likely that they would believe him.
Always having a plan instead of just
Experiencing.
Yeah.
Just being free to go to the bar and talk to some fucking guy. He pushed the door open, and a hideous, cheesy smell of sour beer hit him in the face. As he entered, the din of voices dropped to about half its volume. Behind his back, he could feel everyone eyeing his blue overalls. A game of darts, which was going on at the other end of the room, interrupted itself for perhaps as much as 30 seconds.
Has to wear certain kind of clothes.
So he stands out to the proles.
Ugh.
The old man whom he had followed was standing at the bar, having some kind of altercation with the barman. A large, stout, hook-nosed young man with enormous forearms. A knot of others, K-N-O-T, standing around with their glasses in their hands, were watching the scene. "I asked you civil enough, didn't I?" said the old man, straightening his shoulders pugnaciously. "You telling me I ain't got a pint mug and an old bleeding boozer?" And what the hell his name is a pint, said the barman, leaning forward with the tips of his fingers on the counter. Look at him. Calls himself a barman and don't know what a pint is. Why, a pint's half a quart. And there are 4 quarts in a gallon. I'm going to teach you the ABCs next.
Well, what does a quart or a pint look like? Those are just the words that represent a certain amount of liquid.
Yeah.
So his argument wasn't addressing the problem.
No.
That's like the second time that's happened. Him going to the first place. And they're, look, I wrote this down, so it means it's true.
I have a book, and none of the numbers ended in 7, I'm telling you.
And this one, what happened? Oh.
The barman is like, what's a pint?
He said, what's a pint?
And what the hell's name is a pint? Said the barman, leaning forward.
Was it italicized like that? What is a pint?
Is italicized.
What is a pint? So it's not just a pint is 4 quarts or whatever. Or there's 2 pints in a quart, whatever.
Yeah. Half a quart. And there's 4 quarts to a gallon.
Yeah, and then so he went. Not only did he not answer the question, but then he moved in that direction even further. What does a pint look like? It looks like a half a quart. Okay, what does half a quart look like? A
fourth of a gallon.
A fourth of a gallon. So it's a never-ending bullshit, and he didn't ask that anyway. But he took the liberty to continue on that way. Being aggressive with...
Sounds familiar. Never heard of them, said the barman shortly. Liter and half liter, that's all we serve. There are glasses on the shelf in front of you. I like a pint, persisted the old man. You could have drawed me off a pint easy enough. We didn't have these bleeding liters when I was a young man. When you were a young man, we were all living in the treetops, said the barman, with a glance at the other customers. Is he saying he's so old that he was a monkey?
I guess.
There was a shout of laughter, and the uneasiness caused by Winston's entry seemed to disappear. The old man's white, stubbled face had flushed pink. He turned away, muttering to himself, and bumped into Winston. Winston caught him gently by the arm. May I offer you a drink? He said. You're a gent, said the other, straightening his shoulders again. He appeared not to have noticed Winston's blue overalls.
He didn't say, hey, a half a liter or whatever is like however many pints. There was no conversion. There was no conversation there. It was just arguing about fucking words that they don't understand the meaning of. Just
what it's called, but not what it is.
Uh-huh. No number ever ended in 7.
Pint, he added aggressively to the barman. Pint of wallop. The barman swished 2 half-liters of dark brown beer into thick glasses, which he had rinsed in a bucket under the counter.
Ugh.
Beer was the only drink you could get in the proles pubs. Proles were supposed not to drink gin, although in practice they could get a hold of it easily enough. The game of darts was in full swing again, and the knot of men at the bar had begun talking about lottery tickets. Winston's presence was forgotten for a moment. There was a deal table under the window where he and the old man could talk without fear of being overheard. It was horribly dangerous. But at any rate, though, there was no telescreen in the room, a point he had made sure of as soon as he came in. "He could have drawn me off a pint," grumbled the old man as he settled down behind his glass. "An off leader ain't enough. It don't satisfy. And an old leader's too much. It starts my bladder running. Let alone the price." "You must have seen great changes since you were a young man," said Winston tentatively. The old man's pale blue eyes moved from the darts board to the bar, and from the bar to the door of the gents. To the door of the gents, as though if it were in a bar room that he expected the changes to have occurred. "The beer was better," he said finally, "and cheaper. And when I was a young man, mild beer, wallop, we used to call it, was 4 pence a pint. That was before the war, of course." "Which war was that?" said Winston. "It's all wars," said the old man vaguely. He took up his glass, and his shoulders straightened again. "Here's wishing you the very best of health." In his lean throat, the sharp-pointed Adam's apple made a surprising rapid and up-and-down movement, and the beer vanished. Winston went to the bar and came back with 2 more half-liters. The old man appeared to have forgotten his prejudice against drinking a full liter.
Hold on, I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it. Spoiler, no spoiler. I spoiled plenty already. I don't think it's gonna work if you talk from there. Do you want me to switch the...
I was going to grab some more milk here.
Oh.
There, the bottom paragraph, if you wanted to do some reading on the milk.
You are? Yeah, right. "You are very much older than I am," said Winston. "You must have been a grown man before I was born. You can remember what it was like in the old days, before the revolution." That makes it even worse, because now I can't see it all. "People of my age don't really know anything about those times. We can only read about them in books. And what it says in the books may not be true. I should like your opinion on that. The history books say that life before the revolution was completely different from what it is now. There was the most terrible oppression, injustice, poverty. Worse than anything we can imagine. I feel like that's what it is kind of like now. I mean, a little bit was like that, but not all the times. And not for everyone. Here in London, the great mass of the people never had enough to eat from birth to death. half of them hadn't even boots on their feet. They worked 12 hours a day. They left school at 9. They slept 10 in a room. And at the same time, there were a very few people, only a few thousands. The capitalists, they were called, who were rich and powerful. They owned everything that there was to own.
Start of the next page here, wife.
Yeah.
They lived in great gorgeous houses with 30 servants. They rode about in motor cars and 4-horse carriages. They drank champagne. They wore top hats. The old man brightened suddenly. Top hats, he said. Funny you should mention them. The same thing came to me head only yesterday. I don't know why. I was just thinking. I ain't seen a top hat in years. Gone right out, have they? Last time I wore one was my sister-in-law's funeral, and that was, well, I couldn't give you the date, but it must have been 50 years ago. Of course, it was only hired for the occasion, you understand. It isn't very important about top hats, said Winston patiently. The point is, these capitalists. They had a few lawyers and priests and so forth who lived on them. Were the lords of the earth. Everything existed for their benefit. You, the ordinary people, the worker, were their slaves. They could do what they liked with you. They could ship you off to Canada like cattle. They could sleep with your daughters if they chose. They could order you to be flogged with something called a cat o' nine tails.
Sometimes, and then throughout history, people had to fucking fight. Like William Wallace.
And not Mel Gibson.
Well, sometimes like Mel Gibson.
You had to take your cap off when you passed them. Every capitalist went about with a gang of lackeys who... The old man brightened again. Lackeys, he said. Now there's a word I ain't heard since ever so long. Lackeys. That regular takes me back, it does. I recollect. Oh, a donkey's years ago. What's a donkey's ear?
Shh.
Oh, donkey's years ago. How many
donkey years?
How many donkey years? Donkey and time.
There's no value in any of their fucking words. Except that chick that was at the movie theater. It was like, the children shouldn't have seen this.
Yeah, shouldn't be seeing it. I used to sometimes go to Hyde Park on a Sunday afternoon to hear the blokes making speeches. Salvation Army, Roman Catholics, Jews, Indians, all sort there was. There was one bloke, well, I couldn't give you his name, but a real powerful speaker he was. He didn't give 'em half of 'em. Lackeys, he says. Lackeys of the bourgeoisie. Flunkies of the ruling class. Parasites. That was another term. And Yenis. I definitely called him Yenis. And of course, he was referring to the Labour Party, you understand?
No, I didn't understand much of that.
And apostrophe Y-E-N-S.
When's?
And Yenis.
Hyenas? Like hyenas? I don't know.
Winston had the feeling they were talking at cross purposes. What I really wanted to know was this, he said. Do you feel that you have more freedom now than you had in those days? Are you treated more like a human being? In the old days, the rich people, the people at top, the House of Lords, the old man put in the old man reminiscently. The House of Lords, if you like. What I am asking is, were these people able to treat you as an inferior simply because they were rich and you were poor? Is it a fact, for instance, that you had to call them sir and take off your cap when you passed them? The old man appeared to think deeply.
They probably did it in real England or whatever, because they were looking for opportunity.
Governor.
I'm sure at some point somebody was flogged for not paying respects, though, that's for sure.
Shot. By a lackey, maybe. He drank off about a quarter of his beer before answering. Yes, he said. They'd like you to touch your cap to him. It showed respect. Like, I didn't agree with it myself, but I done it often enough. Had to, as you might say. It was usual. I am only quoting what I have read in history books. Was it usual for these people and their servants to push you off pavement and into the gutter? One of them pushed me once, said the old man. I recollect as if it was yesterday. It was at boat race night. Terrible rowdy that used to get on boat race night. And I bumps into a young bloke on Shaftesbury Avenue. Quite the gent, he was. Dress shirt, top hat, black overcoat. He was kind of zigzagging across the pavement. And I bumps into. I'm accidental like. He says, why can't you look where you're going? He says. I says, do you think you've bought the bleeding pavement? He says, I'll twist your bloody head off you get fresh with me. I says, you're drunk. I'll give you a charge in half a minute. I says, and if you believe me, I puts it in on my chest and gives me a shove. It's pretty near sent me into the wheels of the bus.
He lost a fight.
Yeah, he got shoved into the gutter.
He was like, I'll let you off the hook because you're a young idiot. But then he pushed him. It's not like, it was like, oh sorry, massa.
Yeah.
Governor, I didn't mean to offend or anything.
Yeah, it was like a heated exchange between two individuals and not a master and a slave. Well, when I was young in them days, and I was going over fetch in one and only. A sense of helplessness took hold of Winston. The old man's memory was nothing but a rubbish heap of details. One could question him all day without getting any real information.
There was information. That's Winston.
The party's histories might still be true. After a fashion, they might even be completely true. He made a last attempt. Perhaps I have not made myself clear, he said. What I'm trying to say to you is this. You have been alive a very long time. You have lived half your life before the revolution. In 1925, for instance, you were already grown up. Would you say, from what you can remember, that life in 1925 was better than it is now, or worse? If you could choose, would you prefer to live then or now? The old man looked meditatively at the dartboard. He finished up his beer more slowly than before. Then, when he spoke, it was with a tolerant, sophisticated air, as though the beer had mellowed him. I know what you expect me to say, he said. You expect me to say I'd sooner be a young man again. Most people'd say they'd sooner be young, if you asked them. But you got your health and your strength when you're young. When you get to my time of life, you ain't never well. I suffer something wicked from my feet. and my bladder's just terrible.
Well, that's not what he meant. Now there's some miscommunication, I think.
Maybe.
The outside world, not how he's feeling.
Yeah, did you want to be alive now or later? Well, now I'm...
Yeah.
6 and 7 times a night. It has me out of bed. On the other hand, there's great advantages to being an old man. You ain't got the same worries. No truck with women, and that's a great thing. I ain't adds a woman for nearly 30 year, if you credit me. No wanted to, that's what's more. Winston sat back against the windowsill. It was no use going on. He was about to buy some more beer when the old man suddenly got up and shuffled rapidly into the stinking urinal at the side of the room. The extra half-liter was already working on him. Winston sat for a minute or two, gazing at his empty glass, and hardly noticed when his feet carried him out into the street again. Within 20 years at the most, he reflected the huge and simple question: was life better before the revolution than it is now?
He'll never know.
Yeah, he'll never know. Would have ceased once and for all to be answerable.
Old people, they seem to bitch a lot about small things instead of bitch about the state of things.
Yeah.
I think my grandparents did. There wasn't, I don't know how to say it. There wasn't seeing what's wrong with the world then, seeing what's wrong with the world now. Just the luxuries of life were less. Or, if something happens to the luxuries, like the TV goes out, it's like, ah! But what about everything else? What about the things that matter? The things that your children are going to inherit?
Yeah, you get to own a house, you got property, you got a farm.
Why did my grandparents, why were they so stupid? They put me at such a disadvantage by coming to America, by renting all the time, renting until they were dead, and then they disappeared just like my mother. Oh, what a stupid fucking thing to do. That's that promise of fucking American dream or some shit. And not even after that. They came on a boat that had like curtains and fucking dining ware.
Civilized. It wasn't packed aboard.
They could have taken a plane. I think.
Not some steerage situation that's...
No, it was probably just because it was like cheaper or nicer, or I don't fucking know, but... And then coming with, nothing and kind of getting nothing. Living in cities and what I inherited nothing from them. What a waste of fucking life.
The game you play, at least you get your train.
Yeah. Didn't get shit. It seems so moronic. It was just living to die, because they probably had religion in their life a whole bunch, and it was just that's what's gonna happen. What about, so nothing on this earth fucking matters.
No, there ain't no value in nothing, wife.
We're living here now. Why not give this value first? How do you know what value is? How do you know what heaven is until you try to fucking measure it in the outside world? That's another fucking just 2 + 2 is 5. Fuck it, why not? There are 5 lights.
Everybody can fly.
Yep. In heaven, because you get wings. Look at all this beauty and death. Oh, there's an angel on top of your fucking Christmas tree. Fucking gravestones everywhere. Fucking churches. Stop it. Get some help.
Let's see here.
Probably sound crazy. But it's like, who taught you about death? Come on. And what makes life worth living if it's all about... I mean, how many hundreds of years even Christianity was so prominent? Because Rome was so prominent.
Yeah.
What kind of effect did that have on people? On life? And people just take it? I mean, those are a bunch of fucking assholes. Just a bunch of assholes from the olden times who didn't know shit. They took everything from fucking Greece. Because they didn't have nothing themselves.
No, and they passed on their dumb viewpoints. It's still affecting us today.
Yeah. Drop it. Bop it. Twist it. Fuck it.
Get some help it.
It's terrifying. There's so much even for fucking... So much of our understanding of people from Greece comes from fucking people from Rome. Fucking 200, 300 years after.
Yeah, with all the rumination.
Plutarch just fucking making shit up as he goes along. He's not saying that he's getting any information, but this is what I'm passing down as it is. That doesn't help.
Yeah, Plutarch gave no proof of any of the shit he said. At least that we've come across so far.
Plutarch is a fruitarch. There's a retarch.
Oh, that could be there's a meme for the future when I'm listening to this.
It's so stupid. And what happened to Rome?
It worked out so well. We're still Roman, right?
In like the worst ways. As they ran off, whoever was left, the very fucking top of the top had enough money and enough power to fucking reestablish themselves in fucking running away all the way to Italy. I don't know how many of them ran away and if Italy was just like the place, Rome to be. Because I thought it's like the heart, as they say, of the two sides were two specific places. There was like top Rome and bottom Rome. One was like Constantinople kind of area, the lower Roman side, and that got squaboshed, and only the top survived, or the bottom survived, and the top didn't, so the bottom had to move back up, or some shit, I don't remember. But regardless, they split. They didn't do things responsibly, and that's where it fucking ended. They were paying too much for stuff. Everybody was too divided. And it fell.
Yeah. And they were doing dumb things, like drinking lead sugar. That didn't help.
Also, fucking some part of Christianity, Jewish conspiracy. I don't know, but like the original SJ fucking W's was the original Christians running around screaming about something and not having communication, I guess, to
We're
talk
being
about
persecuted. Like, well, I didn't even talk to you yet.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. The way Marcus Aurelius says it, anyway. And he's talking about morals and trying to do the best thing as an emperor or whatever he is of an area. Talking about morality, and these people come in talking about their own fucking morality, which is weird. But maybe at that point, that morality that Marcus Aurelius was talking about was not being handed down to all the people, all of the little foot soldiers or whatever. I don't know. I need more information. However, it seems weird that they were almost like kamikazes or something. They were just like, I believe in this and you can set me on fire. And just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until you become a nuisance. That's what it sounded like. Weird.
It is very weird.
But that's where we come from. A bunch of stupidity. The things that they were against each other too. The Catholic Church or whatever it was originally, just Christianity, turns into Roman Catholic. They absorb it. It becomes so powerful that it infects people who were trying to follow in the footsteps of the Greeks.
That guy was Constantine, right? He's the one who brought Christianity.
Yeah. I think because his mom was into it or some shit. And it just, like, ruins everything. Basically. They turn into, like, these diabolical monsters.
Yeah, now they were two forces opposing each other. Now they've come together, and now they don't have anybody to really oppose them.
Yeah.
So they're just fucking shit-headed and it went unchecked.
Yeah. And we're still living by the stupid Roman bullshit, which isn't necessary anymore. That was a time where if you weren't conquering, somebody was going to conquer you. It's just how shit got to be. Stupidly, but it is what it is.
And we ain't there no more. So time to do something else.
Yeah. Like, finish this goddamn chapter. Heyo.
We're still pretty far away, wife. I think this might have to be a part 2.
Holy shit. It's just, I guess, a particularly long one?
Yeah, it goes into the next book.
Holy.
We've been doing this for 3.5 hours. Maybe we'll...
Oh, look at that light just constantly beep boop beep boop. What's up with that? Who cares?
Who cares?
Do you remember where you are, or did you lose our place?
I lost her place, but I will grab it. Perhaps I not made myself clear. Okay. All right. Now I got it again. Okay. Till next time.
Yep.